name's Vanessa and I'm a synthetic chemist. My job is to make new molecules and materials. I've had a chance to work on things like making new microchips or better batteries, and I have a new job coming up where we're going to work on making some molecules that can help us degrade some environmental contaminants. So when I was in high school, I actually was very interested in taking part in musical groups and doing crafts. And I think my parents were pretty shocked when I decided to become a scientist. Not that I wasn't interested in science in high school, just I was mostly involved with more creative things. So it didn't really make sense at the time, but kind of later on in my career, I realized that my favorite thing about being a chemist is that, especially a synthetic chemist, is that it's a very creative science, and that's why I stick around. But I think initially the reason I went into chemistry in particular was just because I liked what I was learning in class. I liked learning about the fundamentals behind chemistry, and I wanted to know more. So I think the biggest advice I would give to someone who's interested in a career in science is to just follow the things that you like to do. I guess in my career, I went into chemistry because I just liked learning about it in the classroom. And then once I got into a research lab, I liked learning about the techniques that we were using. And I was really excited about that at first. And then kind of once I had acquired my skill set, I realized what I could do with it. There's lots of things you can do with chemistry, but there's lots of things that you can do with all different types of science. So I think it's really important to like what you're doing. It's just a lot easier to learn things when you like it. Okay, so the easiest thing about being a synthetic chemist is writing your ideas down on paper. So designing something that you want to make. The hardest part is getting that to actually work. So I think especially when you're first starting out as a chemist, all scientists, you're raised in this academic culture of grades, and when you fail a midterm or whatever, that's not a good thing. But then when you go to the lab and try to do reactions, you're going to fail a lot. That's just guaranteed. And that can be a really big mental barrier to overcome when you're first starting. But I actually, I don't mind failing in the lab so much, because as a scientist, you're using your data to tell you what's going on with your reaction. So you can take a look at your data and see, okay, so this didn't do what I wanted it to do. I need to listen to that and try and figure out what's actually going on, and then maybe I can think of a way to fix it. So you're troubleshooting, and it's kind of fun. And sometimes maybe you don't make the thing that you wanted to in the first place, but you can also sometimes you discover new things that way, and that's also exciting. So I am an academic chemist. I do research in a university lab, but there are lots of different ways that you can be a chemist. So you can do research in industry. The chemical industry is huge because chemistry is everywhere. So pretty much any application you can think of, there's going to be a chemist somewhere along the line there. So I know people who work on precursors to put for chemicals that are in your cell phones. I know chemists who work on cosmetics. I know chemists who are working on recycling plastic. I recently met this chemist who works for the company Patagonia, and she makes new materials for outdoor apparel, and then she gets to go test them in the field, which I think is really awesome. I know that you can also get involved with science policy with the government, or you could become a scientific lawyer. A lot of scientists go into law school when they're done with their undergrad. You can also become a science communicator, so someone who helps to convey scientific messages to the public, which has been a big thing during the pandemic, a very important thing during the pandemic. I have a friend who's a science communicator, and she helps to write textbooks. If you're somebody who really likes communicating science, but you also want to be kind of involved with the research side of things, you can get involved with scientific publishing firms where you'd be helping out with new scientific reports that are coming out from these types of research labs. And yeah, you can do these from pretty much any level of education. So you can have high school, bachelor's, master's, PhD. I think it's important to just go after a degree that works out for your life. So I'm not necessarily in the job that I thought I would be in coming out of high school. When I was starting university, my plan was to become a paleontologist, and I quickly switched into chemistry. It was a dream of mine that I didn't want to give up on, so when I finished my PhD, I actually used my chemistry background to kind of weasel my way into a paleontological dig. And when I was there, I was surrounded by paleontologists and we were talking science. So it was kind of a really cool experience to be immersed with a group of people who have such a different skill set than me. And you never know, we might come up with some collaboration someday where I get to use my chemistry to help out in paleontology. You just never really know, but it does help to network with people, to chat with people, especially people who do things that you think are interesting. You never know what you're going to come up with. Like any scientist, it's my job to learn things. And I think that's probably the biggest perk of the job, especially as a chemist. Chemicals make up literally everything. There's so many different types of chemistry, so many different types of chemists, and that's a huge opportunity to get to collaborate with a diverse group of individuals.